So in this tutorial, I'm going to explain how to create curved surfaces using the push, pull, and scale technique. So I'm going to go ahead and create some type of shape which resembles a bumblebee's body. So step one, you're going to want to get used to the cameras. I'm going to take the standard view and I'm going to look at it from the front. So from here, the first thing I'm going to do is tilt it slightly like this, and what I'm going to select is the 2-point arc. Click once on the origin and then once along the green axis. I'm then going to create a nice smooth shape. That is going to be the width or half of the width of my bumblebee's body. Next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to create what will be the height of its body. So once again, selecting the 2-point arc onto the origin, but this time I'm going to make sure that the direction that I drag this curve is vertical along the blue axis. So let's say I want to drop it here. After this is all in place, what I'll want to do is I'll want to move back to the front view like so, and I'm going to group the curves that I have right here. Well, one thing to remember too is to make sure that you have a line going through everything and that the faces themselves are actually deleted. So now I can go ahead and group things. Once everything's grouped, I need to create a horizontal plane or a cross section that I'm going to use to scale parts of my bumblebee's body. So what I mean by that is first take the rectangle tool from the shape selector, draw out a rectangle vertically like so, and make sure that the rectangle you set covers the entire height and width of those two earlier curves. So you can see that clearly this one is not covering the width right here, so I'm going to scale it so it's a slight bit wider and also a little bit taller. Alright, so the purpose of this rectangle is to provide a cross section for scaling and pushing and pulling the solid parts of our bumblebee body. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to select our first face right here. We're going to want to go to View, Face Style, and then X-Ray so we can actually see through it. You're then going to want to create an array of this rectangular shape moving through the whole body of the bumblebee. So select the face, right click and select All Connected. That way you get the edges as well. You're then going to take the Move tool, hold down Option so a plus sign appears, move the rectangle all the way to the end, and then I'm going to divide mine by 10. Actually, no, I'm going to divide by 8. So what that does is places 8 of those cross sections along the body of our bumblebee, and now we're ready to start filling in the gaps. The first thing you'll need to do is delete the first cross section right here. You can right click on the face and do Select All Connected and then press Delete. You're then going to have to turn each of these cross sections into separate groups. So the way to do that is to right click on an individual face like so, select All Connected, and then right click Make a Group. I'm going to do the same for this cross section right here, select All Connected, then right click Make it a Group. It can be a bit time consuming, but you'll want to do this for each of these moving down the line. Once you've grouped all of these rectangular cross sections, it's time to start filling in all the gaps. So what you need to do is take the line tool, make sure that you draw a line from the center point of this curved shape out to the edge, and then the same moving up vertically. Then take the arc tool, 2-point arc, and draw an arc, and make sure that this arc is right along the face, on the face of a group. And I'm going to click it like so. After this is done, you can delete the group and you'll see that you have a face waiting for you to push, pull, and scale. So the first thing I'm going to do as I scale this into the next cross section, and by this I mean this little cutout triangular thing, is I'm going to want to explode this rectangle right here. After that, I'm going to orbit to this position. I'm going to take the extrude tool and gradually and slowly extrude this shape until it touches the surface that I just exploded, like so. From here, what you can do is you can go ahead and you can delete the rest of those lines, which are not necessary for the whole scaling process. Look, I just deleted one by accident. Alright, and from here you're going to want to select this face. Now if it's not there, you're going to have to just go ahead and draw a line on the base to close it out. So Sketchup knows that you're trying to select a surface. Should turn this into this dotted translucent pattern. You're then going to want to click the scale tool and then scale this upwards and then laterally until it touches the side of the curved plane that we've created. You can use the move tool to move each point individually closer to the outline. The more time and care you take to align these, the better your curved object will look. So we're going to do the same for the next cross section. So I'm going to explode it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extrude this surface here all the way till it touches what was just exploded. I'm going to delete the lines around it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this line here to close out the surface, and then once again rescale the internal form here. So dragging it up and then to the side. So you can see how I'm building up my curve shape one cross section at a time. If you were to create even more cross sections within our form, your shape is going to be a lot more accurate because you'll have more more regular defined paths to scale your shape to. As opposed to 8, maybe you'd have 24, and it's going to allow your curve shape to be more detailed. So you're going to do this process all the way till you get to the end, and then you've almost completed half of your bumblebee's body. So I've gone ahead and used the push, pull, and scale technique to create almost the entirety of my bumblebee's body. But what I need to do as a final touch is close out this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now by extruding this point outwards, and then of course using the scale tool to scale this final side to the correct proportions which match my bumblebee's body. So there you go. It's a pretty good attempt. Next thing you're going to want to do is click on one of the surfaces you just created, right click, and then select all connected. And you're going to say make it a group, pick the move tool and move it away, and you'll see that what we created earlier was almost like a wireframe to build this thing. So I'm going to delete what we worked with earlier, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate this by command. Hold on this and move it away. I'm going to explode both of these objects. Actually, first with this one I'm going to make sure that I flip it along. I believe it would be green. Nope. Red. There you go. Now I need to make sure that I flip this along green one more time. There you go. So two of the same forms facing each other. All I need to do now is select this group here, connect it so it's point to point. Should be a relatively easy process if you zoom in like so. Highlight everything, explode, highlight everything again, right click, intersect faces with model. And then we don't want this to be in its X-ray form for the face style anymore, so I've highlighted everything. And I'm going to go to view, actually it is yes, view, face style, and I'm going to turn off the X-ray. And here's one half of my bumblebee body. I'm going to highlight it all now, right click, flip along blue. I'm going to highlight this again, Command C, Command V to copy it. Right click on this highlighted portion, flip it along blue. What I'm then going to want to do is select a point on one of the ends, like so. That one right there. Has to be exactly that one. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to move this upwards. Actually, you know what? It's probably better to group this ahead of time. So I'm going to right click and say make it a group. That's going to make this whole movement process a lot easier. So now I can take the move tool, move to the corner, and place this right on top of our original, like this. All right. And as always, to connect the shapes and the forms, you're going to want to highlight everything, right click, explode, highlight everything, intersect faces with model, and there's our completed body of the bumblebee.